science class. For your computing lesson today, the learning objective is, can I understand what peer pressure is? I wonder if any of you already know what peer pressure feels like. Maybe you've already experienced it. Maybe you have already gone through peer pressure. So peer pressure, what do you think is meant by peer pressure? Now, you can talk to other members of your family about peer pressure because I believe that there are different forms of peer pressure and it also happens in different stages of our life. So you might experience a particular form of peer pressure as a child, but maybe mum and dad or a sibling, an older or younger sibling, might have gone through a different type of peer pressure. So it would be an interesting idea to just talk to them and see what experiences you can then bring back to me onto Tapestry, or just to remember, really, because I think it's important to discuss peer pressure because there are so many different types of it. It can get quite confusing to identify what peer pressure actually means or what it looks like. So talking to somebody about it, just talking about what you think it might mean, is a really good introduction, a really good start into understanding something that's quite complex. Peer pressure is when people you know encourage you to do something, even if you don't want to. So you can see in this poster, or within this poster, you have many different words that are associated or connected to peer pressure. I will go through a couple just to show you. One word that really stands out is bullying to me. Now, bullying of any type or any form is not allowed, because of, not only does it get you into trouble if you are seen bullying somebody else, but I really swear by one golden rule in all aspects of my life, as a teacher, but also as an auntie, and also as a daughter, and also as a sister, and as a friend. Bullying, the number one reason why bullying is not allowed and is not encouraged is because it makes the other person feel really, really bad. And you should really treat others how you would like to be treated. So you would not want to be that person being bullied. And so it wouldn't be really nice if you made somebody else feel that bad. And with peer pressure, bullying is a bit of an issue that's connected to peer pressure, because if I'm being told to do something by somebody else and I'm feeling pressurized, I'm feeling like I don't really have a say in the matter, I have to do what this person is telling me, or else I could lose them as a friend, or I could get into trouble by other people. That is a form of bullying, because you've taken that choice away from me. You're making me do something that I don't want to do. And bullies, in order to show their power over somebody else, make people do things that they don't want to do. So peer pressure can be and is very closely connected to bullying. Another word I can see is conformity. Now, when you conform to something, that means that you're doing something purely because other people are doing it and other people have told you to do it. You don't want to be left out, and you also don't want to be seen as the only person saying no, or the only person not doing what everybody else is doing. So peer pressure is connected to conformity, this issue of, I need to do it, otherwise I'll be left out. But you need to understand and remember that just because everybody else might be doing something that you know is wrong, or that you know you wouldn't want to do yourself, doesn't mean you have to do it. I would rather not do something and be by myself for a little bit, rather than doing something I don't want to do and then suffering the consequences of not feeling very good about it, or maybe even getting into trouble for it. Another word I can see is lonely. So peer pressure and loneliness, it's similar to the ideas that I've mentioned before with conformity, of you can be quite scared that if you're not doing what somebody is telling you to do, you can feel quite lonely, because then that person might isolate you and might not want to be your friend for a little bit. So there is that issue of somebody feeling really, really bad if they don't, agree with this person who's pressurizing them to do something. Even the word pressure, when you think about it, doesn't really sound positive, does it, boys and girls? If you think about things that are pressurized, there's a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety and a lot of there's not much space, there's not much breathing room. And so it makes you realize actually that peer pressure might not necessarily be a good thing. Another word that I can see is harassment. So peer pressure can feel a lot like harassment, because there are some people who will pressurize somebody again and again and again until that person just then thinks, I have to do it now, otherwise they're not going to leave me alone and they're not going to stop telling me to do it. And if you ever experience that, then it's super, super important that you let an adult know, because then they would definitely resolve the issue that you're facing if you feel like you can't do it yourself. That's what adults are here for, especially in school, but also in the home. Now it's written quite small, but I really love this word, courageous. I'm surprised to see courageous on a board that's about peer pressure, but at the same time, I can see exactly why it is written on there. So courageous is when you are brave. It's when you have the courage, the bravery to do something. And I think the most courageous thing you could do when it comes to peer pressure is to not follow it, is to not listen to it. The best thing to do and the most courageous and brave thing you could do is to say no in the face of peer pressure and risk losing some friends. But at the end of the day, boys and girls, a friend would not pressurize you to do something that you don't want to do. So if you're scared about losing them as friends, have a little think to yourself next time. Would my friend want me to feel this way? Would my friend want me to feel a little bit sad because I might not do what they say? I don't think a friend would make you do that. So it does take courage to say no, but it's also the best decision. Let's have a look at this quick snap mishap. So Ruby says, I sent a quick snap picture to Jazz last night. I don't know who made it, but it was hilarious. Jazz didn't reply, which is pretty annoying. She's supposed to be my best friend. What's the matter with her? So what I would like for you to think about is, firstly, why is Ruby cross? And secondly, why didn't Jazz respond straight away? Now, Jazz says, Ruby was really weird at school today. She wouldn't talk to me and had lunch with other girls in our class. She told me it wasn't fair that I didn't respond to the quick snap because we were best friends. So is Ruby being fair? Is Jazz being fair? Should Jazz have replied, even if it was to say that she didn't like the photo? Let's have a look at another quick snap mishap. So Jazz's foster dad says, in our house, we switch off all our devices by 8 p.m. It's our family rule. We all do it. Ruby's mum, on the other hand, says, we don't have any rules for the use of devices in our house. So what I would like for you to do for your 3 challenges is the following. Challenge number 1 is to write down a definition of peer pressure and give an example. Challenge number 2, think back to the slides. Is anyone applying peer pressure? And if so, who does and what effect does it have? And challenge number 3 is to pretend to be Jazz and write a diary entry about how she feels about Ruby's actions. Here is a little quote about positive peer pressure. 2 little ducklings are telling one duckling who is struggling to climb, you can do it, keep trying. So peer pressure can come in many different forms. You have positive peer pressure, but then you can also have quite negative peer pressure. Positive peer pressure is when you are trying to convince someone to do something when you feel like they don't have much confidence in themselves or belief in themselves that they can do something. So you're encouraging them, you're being a good friend, a good sister, brother, whatever it is that you are being, you are showing good positive peer pressure. On the other hand, though, you have negative peer pressure, which is when somebody is trying to convince you to do something which you either don't want to do or which isn't necessarily the best for you. So an example of negative peer pressure on the playground could be that you're being forced to play a game that you don't want to play. And the reason why that's negative, even though it may look like somebody is just trying to be friends with you, the reason why it could be negative peer pressure is they don't know why you don't want to play the game. There could be so many different reasons. Maybe something's hurting that you, and for that reason you feel like you can't run particularly fast that day, or you just don't feel like playing, and so you feel like you want to have that choice of deciding who to play with and who not to play with. So that could be a form of negative peer pressure. Another form of negative peer pressure could be if you're in class and you're trying to concentrate and focus really, really hard to what I'm saying or what another teacher is saying, but then your friend behind you or in front of you or even next to you is trying to get you to, mess around a little bit or lose focus and lose concentration. So that would be negative peer pressure, because they're your friend. You obviously want to listen to them, but it's very important to remember that you should only listen to advice or to suggestions that are good for you, that would help you rather than get you into trouble or make you feel a little bit down. So bearing that in mind, that is all for your computing lesson. Make sure to post your work onto Tapestry. Take care of yourselves and believe in yourselves. I'll see you very soon, Williams class. Bye.